Reg here, and welcome to PaxAriaGaming. This is part 2 of Wuchang Fallen Feathers. There was another part 2 that ended up with such bad frame rate that I actually couldn't show that one. And what you missed was me completing Lightzen Temple, defeating the boss Dutanga, chatting with a few NPCs, doing the narrow stretch, meeting the storyteller and the panda, and finding Shu Sanctum, which is where we are now. And so that's what you won't see. So we start by looking around, making sure that I did not leave anything undone or any person unspoken to. This is a shortcut that we unlocked in the missing part. I have to say, this is a fun game. I love it. I think it's going to definitely be in my top 3 for the year. I know that we're more than halfway through the year. I don't know how many more major games are going to drop. The rumor mill on Black Myth's DLC keeps changing. You know, okay, big fella. Game Science says they have no idea when it's coming out, despite the rumor that it was going to be out sometime in August. Which means I can take my time with this game, and I'm not sure what the next one is going to be. Okay, just so you know, Worship's Rise is a fairly large section of the game, region of the game, as is the next area, which we'll likely get to in the next video. And there's a lot to explore in every single one of these areas, and there's some easily missable side things that you need to do, or that you can do, to further the quest lines of some of the NPCs that you meet. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to platinum this game, but I really like to at least complete those storylines. Sometimes in order to platinum, you have to get all of the endings. I believe there are 4 different endings for this game. I'm going to try to get the true ending. I always go for that first. If I play the game again, then I'll try for a different ending, but usually the first time through, I aim for the true ending. Now, it's quite possible that I could make a mistake, mess up somewhere along the line, and goof the true ending up totally. I'm not sure what it is. I haven't looked at the endings. I know there are 4, and one of them is considered to be the true ending. I don't know whether any of them would be considered a bad ending. I guess it's a matter of perspective. In Black Myth, if you didn't fight Erlang Shen and you allowed the old guy to put the band back on the Destined one, that's a bad ending, because basically he's now back to what was going on with Sun Wukong, which was that he was controlled by that band. And his behavior was a little bit different. Now, Destined 1 was much chiller than the Sun Wukong that I read about in Journey to the West. That one was a little incorrigible and probably needed that band, but this one, Destined 1, did not. So it would have been a bad ending for him to have that put on his head. Don't know whether they'll explore that further in the DLCs. Okay, I'm just, if you're wondering what the hell am I doing, I'm just scouring all of the areas to make sure that I've cleared them, or that I've been here. There is an item that you can drop Sort of like in some of the other Souls games where you can sort of mark where you've been. That way, if you get turned around and you see that mark, you'll know that you've at least been in that area. For me, I just look to see whether there's any loot. If there's no loot, it means I've already cleared it. Because there's plenty of loot throughout this game. In that missing episode, we did get a key that leads to a courtyard that we have not been to yet. I hear one of those birds nearby. And as I mentioned before, it's... Oh, we have an enemy over here. It's probably guarding something interesting. Yeah, the feathers from those birds will give you a buff. It's a random buff, so which one you get is fairly random. Could be more stamina, could be any of a number of things. So you will end up with a lot more of them than you'll ever use. I think I've only ever used them during a boss fight. I've never used them outside of a boss fight. We have another one of these gesture-related thingies. And those are worth doing. Not all of them are tied to an NPC's quest, but some of them are. Excuse my Alexa for notifying me in the middle of my comment. Yeah, so they're not all tied to a side quest. Some are. Some are tied to sort of important elements of progressing quests. So my feeling is you should always do them, because even if they're not tied to a side quest or an NPC, you still get something, right? You get some loot, some little reward for doing it.
doubt it. Though the road to Doomwillow Beach is blocked by flames, I have heard whispers from the townsfolk of a hidden passage beneath the Shu Sanctum. As for where the entrance lies, no one seems to know.
Doomwillow Beach is an area that we're going to get to a little bit later. It's still in Worship's Rise, but it's the sort of like border between the current area, Worship's Rise, and the next area, Cloudspire. So when we get there, you know that we're nearing the end of Chapter 1. I think the regions are divided by chapters. So Chapter 1 is Worship's Rise. Like any great Souls game, not all doors are openable from the side that you're on, right? Which forces you to explore a little bit more because you ultimately will want to unlock the door. Some of the doors are story connected, so they can't be unlocked until a particular thing happens or you receive an item in the story. In other cases, they're just shortcuts that you need to figure out how to get to and unlock. Again, pushing you to explore, right? Yeah, the little dogs aren't much of a problem. Even when they attack you, they don't really do much damage. I'm guessing if 3 of them attack you at once, you might get sort of stun locked, but up to this point that hasn't happened to me. It's been, you see 2 of them, they attack one at a time. Yeah, this little area has a lot of little nooks and crannies. And unlike some games, you're not overwhelmed, at least in this part of the game, at least, you're not overwhelmed by enemies. They can come at you 2 or 3 at a time, but, you know, they're not whole mobs that will, at least in this section. I'm assuming there are other parts of the game where that may not be true. But this is still early game, and I guess the developers wanted us to sort of work our way into some of the combat. Now, this little alley looks like a trap area, because it probably is. So you see the guy at the very end. My guess is if you rush down there to defeat him and grab that item, you're going to get jumped. There's the other one. And there's probably another one. So I want to give myself a little bit of clearance. Again, it's a magic build. You know, it's not a axe build, which I think is probably the strongest build in the game, even against bosses. So mine is the one-handed sword, which helps support magic. I used the spear for a little while, and I actually like it. Spear's okay, and I've also used the long sword, which I'll probably end up using again. There are a couple of them that look really, really good. What I realize is that during boss fights, I need to sort of disable it and only use one sword, because there's a move that you do, and I panic button press all the time in these games, where it'll switch the weapon out. It'll switch it back to the other weapon. Now, it does cause more damage when you do a weapon switch during the middle of your fight, in a melee fight. But the problem is, you know, when that happens, it sort of catches you off guard because the move sets are very different. So if you only have one equipped, then that won't happen. I think in Assassin's Creed Shadows, I had a similar issue with weapons being switched out. Like the Tanto being switched out for something else, or something else being switched out for the Tanto, which I did not use at all. So it was annoying, and in that case, you had to sort of back out of it, switch, you know, it was very, much more complicated. In this case, it's not. You just switch back. There's a little guy down here with a flamethrower. And, you know, I guess depending on your play style, you can run past a lot of these minor enemies. They're not connected to the story, but if you don't know that, I don't know why you would run past them. See, I don't know what these, how those little enemies are connected to anybody. So I usually will kill them all the first time. If I die and end up having to come through here again, I probably won't sort of re-kill them over and over and over and over again. Again, the plus side to that is that you're getting, you are getting experience points, and you're getting currency. But the downside is, of course, you're sort of taking way more time. If you're not recording and you're just playing on your own, then it's not a big deal. You know, you can sit and spend 4 or 5 hours playing because the game is fun. But when you're recording, and you end up having to go back and look at how much you need to edit out, it becomes a little bit more tedious. I guess the solution to that would simply be to pause your recording while you're doing that, and you can avoid some of that. All right, let's continue to work our way through here. We got what the little guy was protecting back there. And check out the house. Some of these houses have ladders inside to get you to rooftops. So it's worth checking each one just to make sure you don't miss anything. And if you can walk to the rooftops, it probably means there's stuff up there that's worth getting. Yeah, the one thing about the one-handed sword does not do nearly as much damage as a two-handed sword, but it does replenish your magic. Now, as I put more into other kinds of things in the impetus tab, some of that will probably change. So I don't want to, you know, I think in the last episode I mentioned Battle Mage is probably more what I'll be looking to play as. I don't think, I shouldn't say that. You probably can get through with total magic and only magic. There's some very potent spells that I guess will show up later in the game. But you also have some fast-moving bosses and, you know, mini bosses that won't allow you to take the time to cast some of the spells that you have. You know, the short casting ones like the Astral Blade thing is pretty short. I mean, you know, that's not a wind-up kind of a deal. Some of the other ones are a bit of a wind-up, and while you're doing that, unless you have a benediction that protects you from being knocked out of your cast, it's going to be a problem. My favorite character in the game so far. Those darn pot ladies are really annoying. The thing is, when if if you circle around them, you can probably kill them pretty quickly. The problem is when they're head on, front, face to face, the difficulty is they start doing that, you know, welterweight boxer thing where they're just wailing on you and you get stun locked. And because you're trying to back up, get away, defend yourself, you don't really see how much health is eating away every time they hit you. Yeah, I've died to those things many times. Okay. Yeah, the game, I like the verticality of the game. I say that now. I don't know. It may get worse later on, and I may not like it very much. But I actually like the verticality of the game. I wasn't in love with the verticality of Shadow of the Erdtree. Although I love the game, I just thought, oh my God, this is just as much. You know, is like, is it below me? Is it over there? Is it? You know, this is difficult to figure out. And with Night Rain, well, you solve that problem because there are those spirit springs all over the place that, you know, you're able to jump pretty high to areas that would have been inaccessible in the base game. Or if you were high up, you wouldn't have been able to get down to a lower level without finding an elevator or a walk down, a switchback walk down. Yeah, the spear is actually pretty good. And this was the first spear I found. I'm assuming that later they may be better spears. They all upgrade the same. So if you upgrade one, then they're all upgraded. But maybe there's one with better starting stats. I don't know yet. We'll figure that out. I think I've only found 3 short swords. Or maybe 2. Okay, I'm just scoping out to see what's down there. Make sure I don't get jumped when I walk down. Shortcut. Yeah, whenever you see a door that you can unlock, you should unlock it. Now, there are some doors that as soon as you unlock it, you're pulled into a boss fight. So you got to be a little bit careful. At least you have to be somewhat prepared. You know, whenever that's happened, I end up dying the first time. So there's likely a boss that was going to kill me the first time anyway. Because you're not familiar with the moveset. And the the degree to which the damage output increases when you're facing a boss is pretty significant versus most of the little mob enemies that you see in the game. Some of the mini bosses are a step up as well. The red eyes are a step up. And none of them, like this giant, none of them will ever figure out a way to get up here. At least, again, I'm going to always preface this by saying in this part of the game, because maybe later on they may be flying enemies or enemies that can climb. In this part of the game, they don't. If they're already on the roof, yes, they'll fight you on the roof. If they're down below and you have the high ground, they're not going to come up here and get you. So you have a choice. You can jump down and fight them, or you can do the cheese thing that I'm doing now. And he's just going to follow the same little pattern, since he can't figure out what am I supposed to do with this guy on the roof. And over time, the magic I use will get more powerful. Early in the game, it's really not. I mean, it's more like a heavy stun than real damage, at least on these types of enemies. Let's see if I can get a backstab on this one. Yep. Yeah, for some reason, I can do that with a spear, but with a short sword, I've tried a couple of times getting that critical hit, and I can't seem to do it. I mean, it's still a heavy attack, right? If you stand behind an enemy and you do the heavy attack, you'll get the crit. These guys hit hard, but they're slow, and you can sort of navigate your way behind them to do damage before they can turn around. I'm going to go back over here and see what he was guarding. Okay, finally time to face the boss in this little section of Worship's Rise. Yeah, that blood stuff that she spits out causes corruption. It's easy to dodge because she telegraphs it pretty well. Her swipes her swipes and maybe the head slams are probably the most difficult things to deal with. She moves pretty fast, but you can always dodge to her side or behind her and get some real good damage. As I die. Okay, so in keeping with my promise to only show one death, I died a total of 3 times, just in case you're wondering. Decided to use tempering to help out with the damage. She does give you some time to get some damage in because she pauses after certain moves. Yeah, one of the problems I was running into was she would back me into a corner, and that corner would happen to have a cluster of is it corruption or something, and that would always weaken my health. She's too far away to damage me with that move. This is where she sort of falls down and is too far away. So you're right. So when she does that, and she takes a little rest. There we go. You can probably get, if you're positioned well enough, you can probably get 3 or 4 really solid hits in, maybe 5 or 6. And then she pauses again. Well, if you critical hit her, she's going to pause again. Again, you just dodge around her swipes. One of the benefits of magic is that you do have more range. Okay, so we fought her in Lu Courtyard, and so actually it's not the last area. The next area Actually, we can do either Mercury Workshop or Anilum. I think technically we're supposed to do Anilum next. Yeah, by the way, if you fall down there, you'll die. I can't remember whether we unlocked the gate to Anilum or not. Okay, so it was a bridge that we had to cross to get to Anilum. Anilum is a fairly short little area. So of course, one of the things we want to do is to get to a shrine, because that's always helpful. So it keeps you from having to go all the way back to Shu Temple again. There we go. The game is pretty generous with shrines. I won't complain. I've heard a couple of people complaining, oh, there are not enough shrines. Well, the problem is when you miss a shrine, yes, it does then seem like the shrines are a long way off. But if you get the shrine, if you get all of the shrines, then typically it's not too bad. Or at least not too bad. So we have a new area here that we're exploring. So we have a couple of enemies on this side. Of course I missed. He's hiding. There we go. And there's one more. As long as there's not a pot lady in the pots, I'm good. Don't be a pot lady. No. Okay, cool. Someone with a gun. Alright. We're going to work our way around. See, that's an example of if you hadn't broken the pots, you wouldn't have gotten the loot. But it doesn't mean all the other pots that you see in this area will net you loot, because it definitely will not. What was that? Okay, we are eventually going to work our way around. So we're going to work our way all the way to that side as well. Any enemies we can snipe from afar, we should. It's not a terribly populated area. But May as well take them out as you see them. There are a couple of guys over here. This guy's gonna come around. He's gonna try to follow us. But dumbass decided to go into the water instead of just walking on the dry path. Yeah, not sure what his logic was for doing that, but that's okay. I think that's most of the enemies on the outer part of this little garden courtyard type area. So I'm not sure where this other side leads to. This side. Every bridge looks like it's one's gonna fall down. Alright, let's... As long as no one's sniping at me, we should probably take a look to see what's over there. Should have just walked up behind the guy. This is gonna take half a day. Yeah, it would have been easier to just walk up behind him and get the critical hit. I will make better judgments moving forward. We'll see what happens. Alright, what were you protecting? Is any good loot in here? Okay, a little reward. Okay, not a total waste of time. Okay, so heading back to where we were, knowing that we're not missing anything on that side, we can continue to explore this side, including that building. Actually, there are a few buildings, but we can start here and work our way around. Making sure I'm not missing any loot. We have a yeah, he got me. I was trying to be cautious, but you got me. Alright. All that for a health pill. I probably need it since he jumped all over me. Yeah, you do find quite a bit of consumables in the game. I'll admit, most of them I don't use. The steam bunny buns I've used because it gives you health. The health pills, you don't get a lot of them. The steam bunny buns, you find plenty of them throughout the game. But I don't think I've used lantern fruit. I don't think I've used... oh, the other thing I guess I've used is the corruption resist stuff. You don't need a lot of it in this area, but there is an upcoming area where you'll need it quite a bit. The other thing you can do is to, of course, equip the armor that gives you more defense or resistance against those kinds of things. So if you're in a cold area, yeah, you can use the frost resist consumables, but you can also put on an armor set that gives you frost resistance as well. So if you see me change armor, it's because of something like that. I'm either changing because it gives me more ability to withstand slash attacks, or to withstand corruption or frost or burn or something like that. I mean, you do have other items, you have pendants and things like that that will help you with it as well. And in some cases, you need all of those. You know, one won't do it. You know, just having the armor set won't be enough to overcome the particular affliction that the boss is putting out. Every area in this game looks like it's going to be a trap. Okay. I think we're about to face our inner demon. Yeah, there are a couple of points in the game where this will happen. Shouldn't have let her heal, but I went with the long sword because the short sword just does not work against her. At least I haven't figured out how to do it yet. She moves very quickly. She's pretty intimidating with her moves. And that's what happens when you trade blows with someone who's better than you. Right? That's just stupid. I'm trading blows with her and she's just hacking away at me. Okay, so let's do this again. And let me not be silly enough to sit there and just trade with you. Start off by softening you up with a little magic. Back up and heal. Okay, alright, that worked. It worked. Interestingly, I think I used more magic than anything else in that particular round. I traded with her early and then was about to make the same mistake I made the first time. Didn't have a lot of health left. Okay, we have another pendant. So these little areas are worth doing. This door doesn't open from this side. You will eventually be able to open it, I think. But that's all there is to Annulum. So we're pretty much done with the Annulum area. So I think I mentioned before it was a small area. It wasn't a whole lot. So the next area we want to get to is the Mercury Workshop, which we unlocked after fighting the boss at Shu Temple, but we didn't go down that little stairwell thing that opened up, right? Yeah, we opened that, but we didn't go down there.
The Trinity Bell. You will pay for this.
Hey, you made it. Got some new
Okay,
stuff
so
for ya.
he was the NPC at the Lightzen Temple. So now he's here. He moves around a bit. Actually, all of them do. Throughout the game, you'll see NPCs that will move to a location and then move back to a location. Others that will move to a location and then move on from that location to a future location that you may not have gotten to yet, that you end up meeting along the way.
What treasures do you have for me today? Let me make an assessment.
So after you defeat a boss, it's always worth talking to this guy again, because you can buy armor sets, you can buy pendants and things like that that are pretty helpful. Notice he also sells a lantern, but we got the lantern from one of the other NPCs, so we don't really need it from him.
Nothing good comes cheap, you know. Thanks for bringing me such valuable
And you don't have to buy it immediately, right? There's no rush. You'll always see this guy, so you can always buy it whenever you want to. But, you end up with a lot of stuff. I've not sold anything in this game. I probably will end up selling something. I just don't know what at this point. The armor sets may be situationally useful. I'm just not too sure. Let's chat with the old lady. She's another one that's going to move around quite a bit. Even though she's blind, she gets around.
That's my boy. Let's see who dares speak ill of us now. Tell me, did you find the white jade dumpling Lu Hong Liu's been chewing on? Good. Come now, hand it over. Share it with your beloved mother. Wait. I remember now. You're not my son. My son is the hero of this town. He promised, once he defeated Lu Hong Liu, he'd go to Cloudspire and make a name for himself. Said he'd become a great general. Give me a life of comfort. My son, wait for me. Your mother will be with you soon.
Okay, we can see already what we're going to be contending with in this section of the game: corruption. You do have items that will mitigate corruption. You also have armor set that will do it as well. And the key is, if you don't stay in the sort of corruption fog or fungus looking stuff for too long, you're good. You can watch the meter. But once the meter is completely full, then you'll be stricken with it. So as long as you don't linger in it, you're fine. And yes, lots of walking, elevated areas, and yes, if you fall, you will die. Another one of those ones where you sort of have to be careful where you're walking. You don't have to worry too much about these wooden walkways breaking. So I guess that's one good thing, right? I've played games where, you know, you walk and they break. This one doesn't do that. So you're good just walking across, but you can get pushed off. And if you're fighting, depending on what weapon you use, you want to make sure that whatever you're using doesn't pull you over the end, because some of the move sets of some of the weapons sort of move you quite a bit. And you don't want to end up in a situation where you're using your move and you just end up sort of spinning right off the side of the side of one of these platforms. The other good thing is, since Wuchang doesn't really jump, you don't have to worry about running and jumping from one area to the next, which is good. So I'm grateful for some of the things that we don't have to do in this game. You know, it's tough enough. Each of the environments is also different enough that keeps it interesting. Like clearly, this environment, the Mercury Workshop, is very different from any of the places we've been so far. And it looks pretty involved. And that means we seem like we're going to have a lot of exploring to do in this part. I don't know who the boss is. But I'm guessing because of the verticality of this place, we will have to work our way either up or down. So he'll either be at the apex or the nadir. I'm not sure which yet. When we came in from the temple. So this is all below the temple, so maybe, I'm guessing, we'll have to work our way down. Yeah, when I opened the temple, I unlocked this this shrine. But then I went back. I wasn't going to explore it. I just wanted to get to the first shrine. Purple camellia is the item that you would use to dispel the corruption should you end up corrupted. You'll find plenty of it in this area of the game. And you should have found some before. I don't remember where, but either an NPC gave it to you or you picked it up somewhere. But when you first arrive here, you should already have some in your inventory. The other thing you're going to have to deal with in this area is blight. And you'll need to use the emerald lotus seeds to remove blight. So you have two kinds of afflictions that you have to be concerned about. But to be honest with you, you should be good. I mean, like I said, the corruption, if you stand in the stuff for too long, you'll get corrupted. Blight, on the other hand, there are some centipedes that sort of can blight you as well as the corpse thingies. I think they throw blight. It looks like poison. I mean, because it's sort of a greenish color thing. I think in some games it's poison, and here it's blight. You know, my thought of blight is a little bit different than what this game is having as blight, but it's okay. Just know that they're two different things. They're not the same thing, and your purple camellia will not help you with blight. Oh my god. Who the hell is sniping me? I have magic. I can snipe you back. Okay, so clearly there's a level above that we're going to need to explore as well. So I guess that's part of the good thing about this is that if, like me, you're an explorer, there's a lot to do, there's a lot to explore, going in all directions, and in a couple of places, and you'll see one coming up, there's loot on an edge that you, in order to get, there you go, you little freaking, anyway, there's loot on the edge that is, once you step on that ledge, you're fine, but as soon as you pick the loot up, you will fall. And you'll fall down to a lower level, and then I guess you work your way back to where you were. That may happen a couple of times, but it was one of those things that, you know, it was always a little bit surprising. So there are elevators that you have to unlock. They help out a great deal. That may have been the fastest I've ever killed a pot lady. Yeah, so there are elevators and there are ladders. So you're going to be using both. And in some cases, the elevators can't be unlocked from your current location. You have to go to wherever the elevator is connected to in order to unlock it. And then you can use the elevator freely. So if you die in a particular area and you spawn back at the shrine, you can then just hop on the elevator and go back to where you were. So that's actually pretty helpful. So it does make sense to unlock that. And I guess you can call it a shortcut, right? Again, like a lot of Souls games, one thing that you want to do early, or at least as soon as you can, is unlock the shortcuts. I remember when I first started playing Souls game, or maybe the first 2 Souls games I played, I would never do that. I would just keep going, and the run backs were horrific because, you know, you fight so many enemies to get there. Some you can run past, some you can't, and it was just so frustrating. And then one of the things that a lot of the Souls veterans would say is you have to unlock the locked areas first. Don't worry about fighting the boss first or the mini boss first. The first thing you want to do, your priority has to be to unlock the shortcut. That's your priority. All this other stuff that you think is the priority is not. Unlocking the shortcut is the priority. So I would say the same is true of a game like this. You know, unlocking the shortcuts definitely make life a lot easier for you. Especially in a place like this, where you have multiple paths. This is one of those things I mentioned. So you're good until you pick up the item and then you drop down. You don't fall to your death, or you don't end up in a dungeon somewhere. So I guess it's not as bad. Okay, well, that poor critter fell off. Yeah, I don't know whether some of these areas are level dependent. Like in some games, it'll say, oh, well, you shouldn't tackle this area until you're level 25 or level 30. I don't know whether that's true here. Granted, I'm guessing that the higher your level, the better off you'll be in a particular area. Just trying to figure out, yeah, I passed. I didn't. It's not because he's still alive. All right. Yeah, it's easy. It's very, very easy to get turned around in this part of the game. Very easy. At least for me. And I have a pretty decent sense of direction when I'm driving and in real life, but in some of these games, it's like, okay, especially, I guess the difference is, in games with maps, it's easier. You know, it's kind of hard to get lost, actually. In games without maps, you know, it does get a little bit, you know, as vast as Elden Ring was, I never got lost because there was always a map that I could sort of go to. Back in my sort of super nerdy days with my Dragon Age games and games like that, I actually would mark the map. So I would, you know, print out a copy of the map, mark where I've been, that kind of stuff. I don't do that anymore because I guess I outgrew that. And I think back then guides were a real thing. You know, Dragon Age had this huge guide. It was the size of a book. So you can find every item in the game. You know, I used to love that stuff. But then, you know, when you play a game and you don't use a guide and you have a very fulfilling experience, you realize, well, maybe I didn't need the guide after all. Now, I'm pretty certain I missed some things. And if I ever get stuck or lost, I can always... Yeah, traps in this area. I can always look up a guide. You know, IGN is really good for guides. Extra Life usually is. I don't think this game is on Extra Life. So if you get stuck and you're not sure how to progress in terms of the game, a progression route, some of those guides are helpful in letting you know that, okay, this is what you should do. I get that it's open world and the game sort of says, well, you can go anywhere you want to go. But in certain games, including this one, if you do that, like there's a part of the game, I don't think I'm there yet, but there's a part of the game that you can access. It's a mountain. If you access that mountain before you complete the part that comes before it, you will get locked out of some of the quest lines for certain people, for certain characters. So my question would be, well, why make it that way if that's going to be the consequence of that? You know, so for me, I'm always really, 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 really careful, and I try to follow that guide. I'll go into an area to unlock a shrine, you know, because typically shrines are at the at the beginning part of some of these areas. You know, unless you miss it. I mean, you don't have to go too far into the beginning of a new area to find a shrine. That's a plate that will cause things to shoot out of the wall, just so you know. There are a few of these little areas with traps. They're easy to spot. And you should definitely be using your lantern. Even with the lantern, it's dark as hell in here, but you should definitely be using your lantern. Okay, that stuff that the corpse thing is spitting at me is blight. I think there are a couple of those guys, maybe 2 or 3 of those guys back there. Now, you can time it and run up there and hack away, but since I'm not really playing as a melee character, I don't really have the build for it. So you want to play dodge, strike, and dodge. Now, okay, I should be close enough to do damage. I don't think they... I'm trying to think, do they actually hit you? Or just use the poison? They're not very difficult enemies. They're big and lumbering. They look more intimidating than they actually are. I mean, if there are 3 or 4 of them, then yeah, that's probably not a situation you want to be in. But if you whittle them down and you're only dealing with 1, you can go up and do hand combat with that one. Okay, so there is... trying to figure out just... I mean, the path is defined by this platform, this raised platform, or this walkway, but it's still a little confusing.
I think the traps can kill you, but of course, they will hurt you. At least I don't think that particular one will, or that particular type will. Watch out for this stuff. This is going to cause corruption buildup. And we have a little chest to open. A chisel. I don't know what that's for. We have this thing. I need to experiment with more of those. Release that for a shortcut back up. This gives us a perspective as to where we are in reference to where we were. Keep in mind, we were working our way around to get to this point when we took the little drop down, when we grabbed the item. one of those little centipedes sort of caught me off guard there. Continuing to clean up this little area. Again, there are not a ton of enemies, and they're spaced out well enough so that you shouldn't have any trouble with a lot of it. Basically, we're just clearing the area. Should we die and have to come back through here, we should be okay. Looks like an area we should be very careful in. Yeah, these little ladies aren't too bad. Magic seems to melt them. If you melee fight them, they can move pretty quick, and if they catch you off guard, they can knife you. Okay, we have a red eye down there. Okay, so as a caster, we don't have to fight him hand to hand. We will not. When I get a little bit more damage behind my weapons, I will slip more into my battle mage mode. Sometimes I'm sort of forced into it, right? If enemies get too close, you don't have time to cast, you have to fight. There she is with a knife. Reminding you that you should pay attention to every door that you exit and every door that you enter.
every little nook and cranny that you see in this game, because anything could be lurking. The eerie music is really, really funny. It's like something out of an old horror movie.
Hey, you think he's still with us? We can't stay here much longer.
Yeah, that was one of those where if I had walked by unsuspectingly, I could have gotten easily pushed off the edge. So we have two paths. Okay. Now this elevator will be active. So again, another semi-shortcut. You want to activate the elevators. If you hadn't activated the elevator and you'd gone up and made your way up and died, you would have had to make your way up the same way again. If you activate the elevator, then from the shrine, it's a lot easier to get back to where you were. There are multiple elevators, by the way. So all I did was activate. I'm going back down to where it was, continuing to work my way around. But at least I know this particular elevator is active now. Yeah, reading these to see if they give us any hints about anything. Yeah, those centipedes can be rough if they get you. I will tell you, I'm also terrible at blocking in these games. So I end up swinging wildly until I hit whatever it is instead of just blocking and maybe going around behind them and hitting them. Yeah, that sort of looks like a ladder that could go down, but I can't interact with it, so maybe it's not. Maybe it just looks like one. Or maybe I can't access it from where I am. Yeah, I should have just put this in my my little utility thing, since it seems like I'm going to be using it a lot. I don't know whether the boss in this area is a corruption boss. It might be. Logically, you would think it is. It's like the game gives you these little hints as to what you might face later on by giving you armor that has particular types of resistances. not sure. I don't know whether this technically is a shortcut. Maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, what is making that noise? Is that? No, because I still hear the noise. Maybe I don't. Okay. And oddly, there's a bird somewhere in here. I probably missed him on top, up top, but he sounds closer. And if he's real close, then you use the lock-on mechanic and you can find him. Yeah, he sounds really, really close. Why a bird would be in an underground cave, I'm not sure. If it was a bat, I could understand that. Not sure about a bird. This centipede was waiting to sneak me over there. A little bit slow in the uptake, buddy. Yeah, same thing that I said about the birds also go for the centipedes. They're usually on the ceiling or the roof of this cave or this cavern. And so if you do the lock on, you can usually get them, at least get one shot in. If you're playing ranged or magic. Otherwise you have to wait for them to jump down. those things will, if you get really close and they do that scream thing, will sort of stun you. I mean, they don't hop down and fight, so I'm not sure whether or not they stun you and then the centipede drops down and gets you. They do a little bit of a tag team effort to kill you in this place. There are a few of those, so you should definitely be on the lookout for it. Yeah, there's also a pendant that you can get that will prevent enemy roars from knocking you down. I'm assuming that that noise classifies as a roar. It can be helpful because when you're struck with that noise, you are frozen in place for a few seconds. I'm looking out because this is way too good to be true. You got loot all across this bridge. So I was guessing either a big boulder would come rolling down the place, which hasn't happened in this area, or there's an enemy, or multiple enemies. But look at this. It's like more than half a dozen loot. I mean, just, it's amazing. It's like, wow. There's no other area in the game so far where I've looted this much in such a short distance. And we have one of those screaming things over there. So at least we don't have to worry about that. There we go. We have a centipede. Oh, shoot. Okay, there are a couple of centipedes. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. Alright, so there are a couple of centipedes. Alright, let me just go back, get a little distance, catch my bearings. Take these guys on one at a time. How far can I kite them? Oh, we got Blight. Okay, still something slithering around. Okay, so that was 2 of them. I think there are 3 of these centipede things. Unless in my wild swinging I actually killed them all. Yeah, maybe. Alright. Moving right along. We're on the other side of this thing. Still hear the bird. Okay. Alright, got the bird finally. Alright, now I'm just being paranoid. Like, okay. Before I was so rudely interrupted. I was just grabbing all the loot that I could possibly grab. We got this one, got these 3. Got something in front. And I'm still worried about something I probably don't need to worry about. Maybe I got them all. I killed the screaming thing that would have been nearby, so I don't have to worry about that one. This is turning into a little horror game. Alright, we got this item that if I had gotten without killing the little screaming thing, it probably would have stun locked me right at this spot. And then we have this little message. Okay. Okay, so maybe I got them all. I'm worried about the centipede that may already be dead. Alright, we got another screaming ball sack over there. Alright. Yeah, so even if you're fighting them at melee range, when they explode like that, you would end up being corrupted. So if you sort of do that and then dodge back, you're good. There's a lot of corruption, but most of it you can avoid by just continually moving, or by moving to one side or the other of the little path that you're on. Okay, we know there's another bird in here somewhere. Actually, we took it. Ah, there we go. Which means we are close to a boss if we are finding a shrine right here. So it doesn't really matter whether you choose to reset the world at this point. So what we're going to do is spend what we have to make sure that we are where we want to be. What I've been doing is sort of focusing on my magic. Every once in a while I'll put something into stamina or strength or something along those lines, but my focus up to this point really has been on magic. Getting more uses out of my Skyborn Might. Same thing on the weapon side. The other reason for doing this is, of course, you don't want to lose all of your currency. So you may as well use it now, and then you don't have to worry about if you happen to die twice or die again before you pick it up. Things like that. My madness at this point is, I think, fairly high. Okay, I don't have enough for more. I guess if I wanted to, I could actually use some of the red thingies that I found. Where are you? Squeeze one more level out. Which is why I always hold on to these. So usually after a boss fight or before a boss fight, I'll try to level up. Afterwards, it's easy to level up because you get a lot to level up with. Before a boss fight, if you've made your way through the entire area, clearing everything, and typically you have enough for one level, at this point, you don't generally have enough for two, but you can sort of make it two by using some of the items that you found. So it gives you one more thing that you can level up. So having magic increase my weapon damage, certainly playing as a mage or a battle mage, is what you really want to do. Doesn't mean I won't put some things into vitality and stamina. I think I will, but for now, because this build is rather squishy, I'm trying to get more out of the magic that I do have. So I want that to do more damage, and then I'll build around that. Bearing in mind we're still in the first chapter, so I figure I'll have time to do it. I figure midway through the second chapter is probably closer to the midpoint of the game, or maybe near the end of the second chapter. I'm not sure how many chapters are in here yet. Yeah, I just took a look. There's 4 chapters. So by the time we get to the end of chapter 2, we should be about the midway point. So we're level 24, 25. I'm guessing by the time we get to the end of this chapter, we'll probably be somewhere around, probably close to 30. Oh yeah, we killed the guy who was roaming around down there, so we really need to go and get whatever that item is. Of course, this place is full of corruption. No worries. We have our little purple flower thingy to get rid of this. And now we can make our way around to confront whatever is waiting for us behind the boss door. I don't need to top off or anything like that at this point. Just checking to make sure I didn't miss any items. Although I don't know why I'm doing that, because I'm pretty certain I'm going to die and end up right back in that spot anyway. Okay, we have another little message. Okay. And so, here we go. Okay, so we have Blightweaver. But you should be aware that around the arena is corruption. And that was probably the quickest boss death I've had in a Souls game in a long time. I think that lasted less than 10 seconds. So as always, I'm going to show you the first death, and then I'm going to show you the successful run. So it took me 11 tries. I'm sorry, it's not 11, 21 tries. I missed a whole 10. And so, yes, tempering is a good thing. You want to temper with fire because it'll eat away at his health. The other thing you want to do, that's a nice little spell that you can get from killing him, is you want to run behind these little towers that are sparkling. Actually, there's an audible cue before he comes out of the ground, so just keep moving. And even though I know that, for some reason I keep getting hit by it. See these little poles, if he hits those, when he charges at you, it stuns him. So that's what you want to do. Now I was too far away to really do any damage. So I want to get chip damage in anyway, so I'm going to use my magic from a distance. But the goal would be is to stand behind the poles. There's a limited number. They don't respawn, so there's I think 4 or 5. So if you stand behind those, he charges them, he hits them, and he's stunned. You should go in and do as much damage as you can possibly do. if you can stay at his side, you can get some good damage in as well. I don't know whether he has a tail whip like the dragons in Elden Ring, Night Rain, and some of those other games. You may be able to stand behind him and hit him as well. But yeah, you just want to keep moving when he goes back underground. Alright, I'm going to get to one of these little these little electric thingies. I'm just going to try to circle around it. I don't know how many times he actually pops out of the ground. I should have been counting. Okay, he seems out. And he hits that. He's stunned. Go in. Take a couple of hits. Again, I'm too far away. Get some magic damage in. Spin off to the side. Hit him a couple of times. Which, by the way, recharges my magic with this particular sword. So with that, the Blightweaver is no more. Not too bad. With all of the bosses, you do tend to get good. Once you fight them the first time, you sort of figure out... The first time I fought him, I died so quickly I couldn't figure out what his moves were. He sort of charged me and hit me with those I don't know whether those are fangs or, you know, those arms or whatever he hit me with, and killed me immediately. The next few times, I was able to sort of move around and avoid him, but I wasn't using those pillars in the room. I should have been. Once I started using the pillars in the room, I started getting him to half health. Then I died a couple of times because he went underground, came up right under me. So then I realized, okay, multitask. You have to pay attention to where the pillars are. When he goes underground, just dodge. You have to wait for the right timing on the dodge, because if you dodge too early, that's not going to be helpful to you. And so the goal is to dodge at the right time, and then you can avoid that. And it's probably 4 or 5 times if someone were counting. And that makes it a little bit easier because you sort of know what to expect. I wasn't counting, which I probably should have been. There's our next shrine. No, not the next shrine. That's our shortcut thingy. This should be moving us to the next area. With this boss, this is the completion of the Mercury underground Mercury cave thingy. So there is a drop off, I believe. Let's see, when we were coming up. Let's take a look. Yeah. All right. So we want to explore this little area too, to make sure we're not missing any loot. I don't think there are any enemies left now. Oh, I was wrong. There's an enemy over there. A couple of them. Grab this item. No, let's head down. Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember now. Alright, yeah, there are a couple more that we want to take out here. There's another ladder. Yeah, the Mercury Workshop is a fairly... It's small relative to the other parts of the game that we've been to, but there's a lot to explore and a lot of little places to go in this little cave area. Alright, so we want to take this guy out. Grab whatever he was guarding. Another item that I probably won't use. I was slow walking my time past the corruption thing, which is pretty silly. Go down this ladder. Up this ladder. It's my dog sighing in the background. I guess she's tired of me sitting in front of this computer. Where she's telling me it's time to wrap this up, which is what we're going to be doing very, 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 very shortly. I think this was the last thing to get, which isn't something we need right now because we're at the end of the Mercury Workshop. This is going to lead us to an area called the Bandit Cave. Actually, no, I think Bandit Cave was just outside the boss area. So no, I think this will lead us to eventually to Doomwillow Beach. But let's see where this takes us. Although we'll probably pick it up in the next episode. Yeah, so we went back into the hole in the wall. We dropped down, grabbed this item, and then we'll be able to take the elevator where it was going. Remember, we went back up, we went up, saw the drop off, came back down, dropped off. So we went all the way back down to the bottom here, and now we're going to take the elevator back up to its original spot. Yeah, if you think the corruption is gnarly in this game, there are a few other areas that have some affliction types of things that's even more annoying. Okay, so this is where we were. So we didn't cross this, but now we will. The eerie music starts again. And we're finally outside yet again. So we've made it outside. So we're heading to Doomwillow Beach. Now, Doomwillow Beach is an area we sort of couldn't pass through because of fire that was blocking the way. Coming from this direction, we are able to make it through. It's fairly extensive. I don't think it's as extensive as the Mercury Workshop. but there are some branching paths. So we're going to end here. And when we come back in the next episode, we're going to move forward and talk to an NPC, grab the shrine, and make our way through this area. So thanks for joining me. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And more importantly, please comment and subscribe if you want. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.